Hello, my fellow nerds, and thanks again for watching another episode of Nerd Boy Gaming. I am Nerdboy81. Well, recently I watched the hit series Fallout on Amazon, and I gotta say it was tremendous. I really enjoyed it. But with that, it gave me a ton of hype and made me want to really jump back into the Fallout world. And I had a decision to make. Do I play Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 4? Each one has its benefits. You know, Fallout 3, for instance, you get the lower graphics, but you get that game that you played when I first jumped into the series. I didn't play Fallout 1 and 2, but when I jumped into the world for the first time was Fallout 3. Do I want to do that nostalgia, or do I play Fallout New Vegas, which to me is still probably one of my favorite Fallouts with the choice and the consequence? Or do I jump into Fallout 4 with the updated graphics and just a different world? So I had a decision to make. But then I remembered there's another Fallout, one that I hadn't played before, and one that really has seen a rough entry into this world, but has gotten better over time, and that is Fallout 76. So guys, I decided to pop this Fallout 76 in and give it a run. And so in this video, I'm going to take you guys through my first impressions of Fallout 76. I got about 20-30 hours of gameplay in. Whether this is a game, I'm going to talk about whether this is a game that's going to make the rotation, what my initial thoughts are, what my final thoughts are, and if this is a game that'll be my top 10, top 15 or not, and whether or not I think the game is any good. So let's grab those stim packs and let's jump right in to this game. So this game launched in 2018, and it was considered a disastrous launch in any term for Bethesda. I believe that this was one of the very first unravelings of the magic that was Bethesda. I still think Bethesda could regain it, but Starfield didn't really have it for me. I'm hoping as they do more updates, it'll get better. But this one was a disaster. Now, it did give us the memes, 16 times the resolution, and it just works. But it just really fell flat. To their credit, I think it's to their credit, they have put a lot of work into it. You know, they're going to be consistently rolling out new content for the game, new updates, new DLCs, all included in the base package that you get, and all funded through the Atomic Shop, which we will get into towards the end of this video. But to its credit, it has had a lot of work, and it is in a lot better state than it was at the time of launch. And so today it sits mostly positive, with recent reviews being mixed. But for the most part, it has seen a resurgence, and especially saw a resurgence after the hit Fallout series, and which really got players back into it and gave players who maybe hadn't played it in a long time a chance to look at it like me. Now, I put about 20 to 30 hours into this game, and I'll tell you that I probably didn't start this game when it first came out. It wasn't because of the reviews or what people were saying about it. It was more of, I'm not a huge multiplayer guy. In my experience, multiplayer games really require a level of dedication and time that I just can't give to games in my current schedule. For instance, I played Ark Beach Bob's Ascended. You know, I put in about 5 hours, and by the time I hit my 5th hour, people were at 30, 40, 50 hours in the game, and so much further advanced. Same thing happened with like Elder Scrolls Online. I was playing with my brother for a while. All of a sudden he's level 25 and I'm level 13 because he was able to put a couple more hours in and play, whereas I couldn't or didn't. And so because of that, I really have struggled to play with multiplayer games. Additionally, I got a 6-year-old. She's constantly interrupting game time, which is great.
Daddy?
Yo, kiddo.
Can I have chicken nuggets?
Sure. Just kidding. I'm not back. But you can't, in multiplayer, just pause the game and walk away, because there's, you know, when you hit pause, it doesn't pause. Things still happen. You end up dying. You have to put yourself in a safe spot. Anyway, all of that aside is kind of why I never really picked it up. So before I dive in, though, just quick spoiler alert. I don't know that I got far enough, or if there's really a whole lot to spoil here. I'll try to speak vaguely where I think I need to. I will try to avoid major spoilers, but if you want to play this game blind, you're probably best moving on and then coming back after you play it and see if our experiences match. You wake up in a vault, you create your character, it's Reclamation Day, we're going to head out of Vault 76. In past Fallout games, typically you have that big aha moment when the vault doors open, you walk out and it's bright white lights and you're like, oh, I'm outside. It wasn't quite like that in Fallout 76 for me, but you wake up in a vault, nobody's there, you kind of explore a few things, get a couple things, create your character, exit the vault, and immediately you have a decision to make. Do you want to start at level 1 or do you want to start at level 20? Now, I'll tell you, in my 30 hours, I did both. I actually spent some time as level 20. In fact, I started probably my first 7 hours was as a level 20 character, and then I eventually went back and started a level 1 character. And the reason I did that is I actually was having a hard time connecting to the level 20 character. I know that may sound silly, but I am big into role-playing games. I enjoy the role-playing aspect, and I didn't feel like I created the level 20 character. I didn't feel like I earned those levels. It may be weird. I think it's a great feature that's in the game that allows somebody who maybe has played Fallout 76, who wants to start a new game, to come out and create and start at level 20, or somebody who's super familiar with Fallout to do that. I'm very familiar, but for me, it just didn't work. So I did some of the initial quests that there are to do, and I found myself going right back, starting level 1 and doing it again. Felt that was better suited for me. Now, I think, again, like I said, if you are a veteran player and you want to start at level 20, it's a great option for you to have. After 5 levels, you can respec your character anyway. But it was taking me so long to get to level 21. I was like, oh my God, I gave up on it and went back to level 1. As you play the game, it does feel like Fallout. There are quests. The world looks like Fallout. It is Fallout. It's just an early version of Fallout. In Appalachia, you exit the vault, and you're mostly faced with the Scorched, which are kind of like feral ghouls, except for a little bit different. They're Scorched. There's backstory and reason why they are like they are, as you'll uncover as you play. But it felt a little bit like that's what we were going to face. There were still super mutants and a few bugs. I didn't find any rad scorpions in my time, and I did find some larger creatures that were terrible. For the most part, I went out into my journey solo and mostly faced down the typical Scorched, super mutants, and of course, bad guys, right? We'll just call them bandits or whatever. And all of that felt a lot like Fallout, with the exception of there's no VATS, which was okay in this because I actually found myself using just point and shoot, and it was seemed to be well. The loot is leveled to your level, so when I was playing as level 20, I was collecting a little bit higher pipe pistols, but once I was level 1, they were lower. The game gives you the option to do quests. When the game first launched, disastrously back in the day, it was no NPCs. It was just robots and halotapes. They've added in the Wastelanders update, they added NPCs, they've added some quests, and there's some really fun things to do in the game, just like a typical Fallout. Now, as I played the game, I found myself wanting to go back and play Fallout 4. And I couldn't figure out why. And in fact, a couple of times I did leave Fallout 76 and jump back and played Fallout 4 for a while. And then I had to remind myself, no, I'm trying to play Fallout 76 to give it a true experience, to see 20, 30 hours if this is... Sometimes you have to really experience the game. And so I'd come back and I'd play it, but I always had this gnawing desire to play Fallout 4, and I couldn't really put my finger on it until probably maybe, 15, 20 hours into the game. I eventually think I figured out it had to do with the exploration. I am a huge fan of exploration. I think really good games are ones that reward exploration. You go to a location, you find something new, you find something that makes your character better, you find a fun story, a fine hook, a fine quest, just fun things. Now, Bethesda does a really good job of showing you a story without actually having a story. You walk up a cliff and there's a couch and there's 2 people sitting on the couch and they're just skeletons now, but there's beer bottles around. Clearly, they just ended the world sitting on a couch drinking those beer bottles. And that's great. But in traditional Fallout, I feel like you get up there and you would find something, a letter, a quest, maybe some special loot, a special weapon or something. And that doesn't exist really in Fallout 76. And that's because it's a multiplayer game. You can't have a legendary sniper rifle in the basement of a building, because if it's online, everybody would go there, everybody would know it's there, and everybody would have it, and it would devalue that weapon anyway. And so in multiplayer games, this one included, you really got all of your good loot by doing the events, the main multiplayer events that can be a lot of fun. Now, I did a couple of the geo events where you stumble upon an area and an event does trigger off. That was kind of neat. For me, the loot, the lack of legendary weapons being discovered, which makes sense because it's a multiplayer game, was a deterrent for me. The other one was there wasn't anything that permanently buffed your character, like the bobbleheads, for instance. In Fallout 4, you find a bobblehead, gives you a +1 to strength, and now you are permanently buffed there. These are all temporary, buffs, and again, it makes sense. It's multiplayer, but it lost some allure for me in the game because there wasn't anything to find in these locations. When you're exploring the map, all I was finding was either bad guys to take out or the occasional geo event, or maybe something to see. I did uncover blueprints here and there, and those were kind of nice, but I didn't feel like the reward to explore was strong enough to get me to just want to walk off into a distance and see what happens. In Fallout 4, you go east, you walk forever, you will uncover locations and quests and things that are happening in the world around you. Again, multiplayer game, a little different. And that, I think, is one of the deterrents for me in this game. The main legendary weapons were coming from the main events. I didn't get a chance to spend too much time playing the big events. I'm still a pretty low-level character, and that kind of worried me a little bit. But I did do some of the geo events, like I said, and did explore some of the world. A big part of this game, and this was another kind of a negative for me, a big part of this game is your camp. So you build a camp and you go out in the world, you collect junk, you scrap everything, you create more junk, and you bring it back and you build your camp, your base, your home. And I'll tell you right now, there's some great YouTubes out there. I'll link some in the descriptions below. There are some tremendous camps being built out there. Mine were not. Mine was just a box, right? But there are people who are building some amazing camps. But you go out in the world and you find something, let's say a gnome that's sitting on someone's front porch of an abandoned home. And I'm like, I want that gnome on my front porch. So I pick it up, take it back to my camp, and I drop it, and it comes up, there's a paper bag in front of me. And I did it a couple times because I thought I was doing something wrong. And it turns out you can't just drop items into your camp. You have to place them in shelves or display cases, which I guess there are some glitch building you can do with, I think, checkerboards or something like that. But for me, that's beyond my skill set and what I was trying to do here. But I felt like it was a missed opportunity to really be able to go out, find these fun things in the world, and bring them back to your camp. That to me, would have been great. Maybe there's a issue with multiplayer and being able to re-render these bases and these things being there, the registration of them on your front porch or something. I don't know. I'm not a developer, but I can tell you, I wish you could have done that. Because as I explored the world, what I found myself doing was actually collecting stuffed animals. In fact, I accidentally once junked a bunch of them and was super disappointed because there were some pretty cool ones in there. But I was disappointed on the other side of it that I couldn't just place them on a bed or place them on a shelf or put them in a bookcase. I had to put them in a specific display case, and their heads weren't cut off right. You really couldn't see them and enjoy them like I was hoping, but it was one of the things you could collect in the world and give you a reason to go out and explore. Outside of that, the only real reason I felt like you needed to explore was, I guess, to see what was out there, and you were looking for maybe holotapes or blueprints, but generally following just your quest line was all you needed to do, because there were definitely areas you would go to and you would talk to somebody and you'd feel like this should be a quest, but it was kind of locked off because maybe you hadn't done something prior to trigger this quest yet. Untraditional to normal Bethesda games, but just the way it is in Fallout 76 in a multiplayer platform. I played mostly solo. I did take some time and I did jump in with my brother, and we went out and we played them, the two of us, and we actually had one really hilarious moment where we were attacked by a big baddie, and I didn't think we were going to survive. Somehow we managed to quail the beast and survive. And that's when we learned the loot system actually is pretty good. We both were able to pull loot off of it, and we found that as we were going down, you're able to get shared loot, which was really nice. We did have some fun, for sure, no doubt about it. For me, at the core, if you have a good group of guys you're playing and you enjoy the Fallout world, this is definitely a game that would be fun for you. If you're going to try to play solo, I don't know, I would say probably Fallout 4 or Fallout 3 or Fallout New Vegas is probably a better experience. for a solo player, which this is online, which would make sense. The other thing that kind of drives me crazy, and this isn't it's a necessity evil for this game, and that's the Atomic Shop. Just like most online games, there is a monthly game pass thing, right? Every month you can get new items, you unlock quests, there's daily quest things you can do, all to get stuff in the Atomic Shop, or you can pony up real cash and buy the stuff. The Atomic Shop is what is essentially funding this game's development at this point. I'm sure other projects are putting to it, but if you're a business person, you look at the numbers, you have to assume that the Atomic Shop is what funds Fallout 76's development, helps Bethesda put new content into the game, because they're not charging for those updates, which is great. But they do have the monthly subscription that you can get, which gives you access to certain things, or you can buy things from the Atomic Shop. Now, I've never been one to do that. The only time I ever really did that was Elder Scrolls Online, and I only did it because I felt like it was a requirement in order to get enough inventory to actually enjoy that game. In fact, it's one of the reasons why I stopped playing Elder Scrolls Online, which I thought was which is one of the few multiplayer games I really enjoyed, but I kind of walked away from it. But the Atomic Shop is there. And when you're seeing these camps out in the wild and you see these things, some of them you're like, I don't know what was Atomic Shop, what was part of the subscription service, what was earned, but which I guess is okay. But there's some really, like I said, there's some really incredible builds, and you should certainly go onto YouTube and look those up. The other thing I'll say is this community is a lot better than I would have anticipated. A game about the wasteland, you would generally think it was not good. People you're playing with, the community, would be hostile would be hostile as you come rest. I stumbled into an event. I had no idea what was going on. People were killing things. I think I took a pot shot at something. I don't even know that I got any credit for the event, just because I don't think I actually participated. But at the end, these two guys were like jumping up and down and shooting the ground, and I was completely first off, I was terrified because I thought that I was about to die, because I figured this is the kind of game where you run across other people and they just they punk you and steal your junk or whatever. In this case, I later actually went on a Facebook group and said, hey, what was going on here? And it turns out they were actually trying to give me some items. I noticed in post that there was stuff being laid on the ground, and they were trying to give me something. And that's what's really nice about this community. It is actually a really strong, friendly community, considering it's probably the most friendly wasteland you'd be out there. You figure there'd be raiders and people who just wanted to be terrible. And there's certainly still some of that in camps. People will create trap camps. So, always save before you can go into somebody's camp, because they might trap you, and if you die, you lose all your junk, because they'll take your junk. But you don't lose your good stuff, just your junk, which is valuable in this game. I mean, that's a huge part of the game loop, is going out, collecting things, guns, and junking it, and then turning it into other things. So the camp building had the potential to do something special. I think it's still good. I mean, it's nice to be able to create your own, camp with all your, workbenches and all that other fun stuff. But at the end of the day, for me, this is probably not a game that would be in my rotation. If I was going to jump on and play a multiplayer game, I probably at this point would go play Sea of Thieves, just because there's no level systems. It's just, I can play that every blue moon with my coworkers, or I can jump on with my brother and do some co-op, maybe No Man's Sky or something, and do something similar. Maybe occasionally we would jump into this just because we love Fallout, love the lore, and why not every once in a while. But it definitely, for me, is probably not a game that would be in my likely rotation. But that being said, if you like Fallout and you're into multiplayer games and you have a good crew of people who are into the game, it probably could be a lot of fun, and probably be something that you could recommend. For me, probably a 6, 7 out of 10. Like I said, I literally found myself wanting to play Fallout 4 as I played Fallout 76. But all in all, I think it's a good game. Those are my first impressions. If you're new here and you haven't done so, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to get back to putting up regular content, get back into my groove. I will be putting up, I have recently been playing, I played some Minecraft, which I'll be making a video on. Just spoiler alert, I don't understand that game at all, but I'm going to be talking about that. And I'm played some Baldur's Gate, which I'll be talking about. And then I'm probably going to edit some of my Subnautica playthrough. And then, of course, I will always be going back to Ark. I will have in September, there's a new map coming, so I will probably do a live day that day and play Ark for the first time on a brand new map. And who knows, maybe it'll hook me again and more of that will come. But trying to play some new games, play some different things, and experience a little bit more in the gaming world. So with that, guys, hit the subscribe button, throw up the comments, or throw up the thumbs, leave a comment below. Did you like this game? Am I crazy? If you'd like to see the actual playthrough, let me know. I will edit that. I'm probably going to do the same thing for Subnautica, and I'll share with you guys my experience in my 25 to 30 hours of playing Fallout 76. But with that, everybody, until next time, have a great day.